Go. Madam C, go ahead, please.
Can we have the national anthem, please? Just the first stanza. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. The President and Chairman of the Governing Council, Malam Ahmed Ladan Govril, FCIPM, FNLI. The Vice President, Mrs. Chidima Obejesi, FCIPM. The National Treasurer, Mrs. Ogochukwu Egbono, FCIPM. The immediate past president, Mr. Olusegun Mojid, FCIPM, FNLI. Elected council members present on this call. And I have Mr. Adeyemi Ajayi, FCIPM, our moderator for today's session. Distinguished fellows of the institutes present on this call. Governing council members. Our speakers for today, our panelists, our moderator, Dr. Amos, Mr. Stanley Elua, Mr. Yodeji Bankole Olushina, and our moderator, Mr. Adeyemi Ajayi, FCIPM. All members of the Institute, and I'm actually going to single out the men because this is in honor of the men, our men. Where would we be without our men? Although I have to say, you can't have the men without the women anyway, which is why I'm infringing on your session today. We give birth to the men, but where would we be without our men? So I'm singling out the men that make up this institute, that drive this institute. We're actually led by a man. My president, sir, Malam Ahmed Ladan Govril, FCIPM, FNLI. I celebrate you, especially today, as we celebrate the International Men's Day at the Institute today, for being a great leader, sir, a great supporter, a great mentor to all of us, and also pointing us in the right direction all the time in all matters concerning the Institute. I celebrate you, sir. I also celebrate all the other men that make up the Governing Council as well. And to my HQ staff as well, the men especially, as this is in honor of all men that make up the Institute, I celebrate you. And I say, welcome to your own session titled Mentality at Work, Men, Mind, and Meaning, holding today, Wednesday, 26th November, 2025. We're so glad to be here with you. I know we're coming in to infringe upon your space, but you did that to us as well way back in March. So I'm sure you're glad to have us with you. But don't worry, we're going to leave the floor to all the men. So thank you very much for joining us. For all members of the Institute, whether you're male or female, we welcome you to this virtual session. And we know that you're going to have an extremely good learning session and great interactive session with the lineup of speakers that we have got for you today. So welcome, amen, to your own virtual session. We celebrate you. Thank you very much for all that you do for the Institute. Thank you for being supporters of the women at the Institute. Thank you for always having our backs and carrying the heavy load when we're unable to carry the heavy load. I'm not going to call us the weaker vessel, but what would we do without our men? I'll say it again. So thank you very much. At this point, I would ask that we all please rise as we take the Institute's code of conduct. And you'd recite after me. And when you get to I, you insert your membership, your name and your membership grade. So you'd recite after me. Can we all rise, please, as we take the Institute's code of conduct? And please, can I have one or two people on mute? Follow me, please, so I know that I am being heard clearly by everyone. Benga, can you be my sounding board, please?
Yes, boss.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Our code of conduct. The Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria.
The Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria.
As the apex regulatory body for human resource management practice in Nigeria.
As the apex regulatory body for human resource management practice in Nigeria.
Is committed to the highest possible standards.
Is committed to the highest possible standards
of professional conduct. And competency among its members.
And competency among its members.
Therefore, as a member of the Institute,
Therefore, as a member of the Institute, I, Samuel
CIPM, pledge that I shall at all times carry out my duties and responsibilities with integrity and diligence. Demonstrate competence and ethical behavior.
Demonstrate competence and ethical behavior
in all my business. Professional and personal activities. Respect the laws of the land.
Respect the laws of the land.
Promote, encourage, and employ acceptable processes.
And embrace acceptable processes
and procedures in the practice of human resource management.
And procedures in the practice of human resource management.
Within my sphere of influence.
Within my sphere of influence.
Endeavor to make personal decisions.
Endeavor to make personal decisions.
After considering all options.
After considering all options.
Of which resignation may be one.
Of which resignation may be one.
In defense of this code of conduct.
In defense of this code of conduct.
where there are conflicts
where there are conflicts
between my professional obligations
between my professional obligations
and the expectations of my job roles.
and the expectations of my job role.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Amen. You may be seated, please.
Amen.
Again, I celebrate the men once more because we'll soon be handing over to the men to take over the rest of the program. So we celebrate you, our men. We're not forgetting our women as well. We also celebrate the women that make up the Institute as well. At this point, I would like to invite the President and Chairman of the Governing Council, Malam Ahmed Larangobel, FCIPM, FNLI, to give his opening remarks. Over to you, sir, and Benga, over to you. You take over from here. Have a nice session. Thank you, sir.
Very much. Thank you very much, Madam Registrar. Please confirm you can hear me.
I can hear you, sir. Benga, can you hear President?
Loud and clear. We can hear Mr. President too.
And you can see me?
We can see you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you very much. The Vice President of the Institute, Mrs. Chidima Justino of VAJC, FCIPM, the National Treasurer, Mrs. Ogochukwu Egbuonu, FCIPM, the Registrar and Chief Executive, Ms. Oluwatoyin Naiwo, FCIPM, the immediate past President, Ms. Olusegun Majid, FCIPM, FNLI, our elected council members on the call, Adeyemi Ajayi, Dr. Michael Ogu, Hajia Saadatu Farouk, Comrade Osahan Omole, Engineer Sean Olabode Badiru, esteemed members of the Governing Council, distinguished fellows of the Institute, our distinguished moderator, who is also an esteemed elected council member, Mr. Adeyemi Ajayi, FCIPM, our distinguished panelist, Dr. Habila Amos, FCIPM, a distinguished fellow of our great institute, Mr. Stanley Elua, MCIPM, a distinguished member of the institute and a global HR talent and thought leader, Mr. Adeji Bankole Olushina, a distinguished guest and the Chief Growth Officer of Better Life and our partner at the CIPM. All the great men of CIPM, we celebrate you all. Esteemed members of our great institute, other distinguished guests present here, the ladies who have cared to join us today for this webinar, good morning to you all. Today feels like one of those special days when you just know something meaningful is about to unfold. A day where we pause, not to complain, but to assign, and not to assign blame, but to truly talk, to listen, and to understand. A day to shine light into those quiet corners of the workplace where men stand, serve, support, and sometimes struggle, even if silently. We have celebrated our women beautifully and even hosted a special webinar on International Women's Day. So it is only right and only fair that we also give voice to the men today to celebrate International Men's Day and speak boldly to the issues they often carry on their shoulders with quiet resilience. Because as the saying goes, a bird needs two wings to fly. If we empower one and ignore the other, the organization cannot soar. This year's theme, mentality at work, men, mind, and meaning. The world of work is evolving so rapidly that even Google sometimes makes its mind. And in the middle of this fast-paced change, men are still expected to be the rock, the fixer, the warrior, the compass, the leader. In fact, they are expected to be the entire HR department of life. It is a lot for us as men. But today we are pausing to unpack that reality with wisdom. Statistics show that men are less likely to seek help, less likely to speak openly about stress, and they are more likely to internalize workplace pressure. Yet, these same men show up daily as colleagues, as husbands, as fathers, as sons, as team members, as mentors, and as leaders. Today, we are here to say, we see you all, men, we value you, and we want you to be well. Now, let me be clear. This session is not only for men. It is far from it. It is for all of us, both men and women, because a healthy workforce is a shared responsibility. Understanding each other helps to build workplaces where everyone can thrive with dignity, with balance, and purpose. And because we believe in men supporting men, as such, as much as men supporting the workplace, today's webinar will be proudly handled by the men who will be sharing insights, solutions, and the wisdom that experience brings. So to our incredible panelists and our moderator, I say thank you very much for giving up your time to your institute, as always. Thank you for saying yes to us, for lending your voice to this very important conversation, and for helping us build a healthier, stronger, more humane world of work. We appreciate you all, individually and collectively, and very deeply too. As we begin, I will leave you with a simple quote by George Eliot. What do we live for, if not to make life less difficult for each other? Today we will speak openly as men. We will learn collectively, and we will rise together. Ladies and gentlemen, and most importantly, the men of CIPM and other men who have joined us, welcome to the CIPM International Men's Day webinar. Now let the conversation begin. Thank you all for joining, and I wish us all a very great morning. Thank you. Benga, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President and Chairman of the Governing Council. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Can we give a resounding applause to our President? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, sir. And I can see Dr. Vladimir Diallo, our past President, Dr. Vladimir Diallo, FCIPM. Thank you, sir. At this point, I want to hand over to our moderator for today, is our elected council member, Mr. Adeyemi Ajayi, FCIPM. Over to you.
Thank you very much, our Deputy Registrar, Mr. President, our Vice President, the National Treasurer, the Registrar CE, the immediate past President, all elected council members on this call, our past President, distinguished fellows, members of our institute, members of the public, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. And good evening, everyone. Wherever you may be joining us from at this time, across the globe, we recognize that we're a global organization at CIPM. And we have people joining all the way from Canada, from US, from Australia, and of course, the Middle East, and here in Nigeria. It's great to be moderating this session on this beautiful day to mark the International Men's Day 2025 with a theme celebrating men and boys. This morning, we shall be looking at the topic mentality at work. Men, mind, and meaning. Our evolving world of work has continued to place new pressures and expectations and responsibilities on the men of today, whether as employees or as leaders or as fathers or as mentors. We all face these challenges. And this morning, we are going to be exploring how men navigate the intersection between our minds, our identity, the performance of our job, and the purpose of the modern workplaces that we are faced with. We'll be looking at how the society have so much expectations of us, the culture in our workplaces, and the beliefs that we have internally that shape the way that we think, the way that we act, and how we lead either at work or in the home or even in other spheres of life. We will also be highlighting the emotional and psychological realities that we often face as gentlemen, but which we rarely express. Some of these could include stress, burnout, role strain, and the pressure, to always be strong. When anything is happening and they see a man, they will say, be a man. What does it mean to be a man? Does it mean the man does not cry? Does it mean that the man does not have emotions? Okay. In the spirit of this year's International Men's Day and the theme that we are celebrating men and boys, our discussion will be spotlighting the positive contributions that men have made, while we also advocate for healthier and more balanced approaches to work, to well-being, and of course, to our personal growth. We are going to be focusing on understanding mentality, how our upbringing, how our culture, how the workplace norms have shaped the behavior of men and the expectations that we have of men. We're looking at men and our mental health. How do we address stress, our emotional well-being, and the stigma that is around us as men seeking for help? Is it a wrong thing for a man to be vulnerable and to seek help? We'll be looking at workplace pressures, the demands of performance, the leadership expectations, and the unspoken burden, that always say that we should hold everything all together. Hold it together. You are a man. And we'll also be looking at how we can find meaning and purpose. That is, how we find fulfillment at work and how we're able to integrate life and work with our personal identity. How do we refine our strength? How do we nurture empathy? How do we model healthy relationships? And the HR strategies, policies, and practices that enables us to thrive. Join me this morning, as I will not be here alone. I have a very robust panel members who are going to be engaging us on this very topic. At some point in this conversation, we'll also open the microphone for our audience to be able to join us in this conversation. This morning, let me introduce to us Dr. Abilas Amos, FCIPM. He is the lead partner and chief executive officer of Deaf Professional Services Limited. Let's put hands together as we welcome Dr. Abdullah Amos. Dr. Amos, you are welcome to this conversation. Secondly, we have, yes, Dr. Amos, you're welcome. We also have Stanley Elua, MCIPM. He is a global HR and talent leader. Stanley, welcome to this discussion.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Mr. Demi.
Thank you very much. And I have also on this panel, Ayodeji Bankole Olushino. He is the Chief Growth Officer for Better Life Living Benefits Limited. Ayodeji, you are welcome to this conversation this wonderful morning.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, because of our time, we will dive straight into the conversation this morning. Let me start this morning with Stanley. Stanley, tell us, cultural norms in Nigeria specifically affect the way men communicate emotion. And a lot of times there's a conversation around being a man entails that you don't speak out or you don't show it in your face, the emotions that is going on through your mind. How can you help us understand how all these cultural norms, how they affect the way that men communicate their emotions? Stanley, over to you.
All right, thank you. And thanks for having me to the leadership of CIPM, from the president to all the leaders on the call. I'm glad to be here to be celebrating men. Very rare to have men to have men like us stand on the platform like this, and then people are sitting to celebrate us. So it's an exciting time. Okay, straight to the question. I think the theme of this program is quite informative and really points us in a very clear direction. I mean, men, mind, and meaning. We live in a world where men, culturally, the norms will strongly favor stoicism, situations where men are expected to endure hardship, endure pain, like Mr. Deyemi said earlier, be a man. And if we check, we see where all of these have stemmed from. You know how growing up as a child or as a young boy, things happen and you become a bit vulnerable, or something leads you to a point where you are almost going to cry, and somebody says to you, are you not a man? How come? Why you do cry about this? And then, over time, we all just grow up realizing that, when you are a man, there's something about the cultural norms that says that you are not given to weakness. You are not given to being vulnerable. You are not given to crying. If they see you cry, it's a sign that you're not a strong man. When things go wrong and you're not able to provide, unfortunately, too, from our religious backgrounds, social circles, family circles, all of these resonate very strongly, and you're not able to provide in certain situations. For instance, I heard a story of a guy who they had a family meeting, and unfortunately he's not able to support family needs for the larger family as expected. And then he got up to make a contribution, and then they said to him, please sit down, what are you contributing to all of this? And it then breaks something in you as a man, saying that you must, as a man, naturally be seen to be strong. About 10 years ago, I can't forget, but 10, 15 years ago, I was somewhere where young men were having conversations. And I can't forget how this young man said that day, it was Christmas season. And they said, I'm not going to go for Christmas this year because I haven't made enough money to be able to show at home that I have arrived. How can my mates all come and they drive new cars and I don't have something to drive? So culturally, we have created a mold. I call it a mold for men that says that men must be emotionally strong at all times, that men at all times must show that they are providers, that they are protectors, and they are people who cannot be vulnerable and can't be seen to be sad in any way. And this has also affected the way we work. It's also affecting the way we live our lives on a day-to-day basis. The question here really is, how does this how does this help us as men live our lives and live a fulfilled life? One of the elements of our theme is the mind of the man. Let's come and think about it. The greatest wars that are ever fought, or the greatest battles ever fought, are the unseen battles. And those battles are sometimes not fought in the rings. They are not fought in the streets. They may not be physical fights. They are the fights that happen right within the mind of the average man. And how are men winning those battles? Very critical conversation that I think,
Thank you
as we
very much,
progress today, we
Stanley.
would then look at and see how we delve deeply into it. And it's a very critical point. Mr. Deyemi, I'll pass it over to you at this point.
Thank you very much, Stanley, for that beautiful introductory remark around how men communicate emotions. You make very, very salient points there. Let me take it further with Ayodele Bankole. I'm still talking about this vulnerability and masculinity. How can we reshape the narrative around masculinity so that vulnerability for a man is not seen as weakness? How do we navigate this narrative? That, being masculine does not mean that you cannot be vulnerable, or being vulnerable does not mean that you are weak. Over to you, Ayo.
Thank you very much, Adeyemi. And thank you, Stanley, for doing a great job of opening the conversation. The responsibility of redefining or reshaping the definition of masculinity is actually, that responsibility rests on all of us. There are very important lifestyle points of every human being, at home, at work, and for us in Africa, at the place of worship, it also contributes significantly to, shaping our mindset. And the workplace is a very important place of how these narratives, come about. So Stanley has given us examples of how people have been treated in family meetings, but take it or leave it. Even at the workplace, we have those narratives, continue. So it's for us to, redefine what masculinity is. For the man to want to even be vulnerable at work, there must be a redefinition of who a man is. I mean, when the president was talking, he used certain very strong words. Yes, we are the rock, we're the compass, we're the warrior, we're the one that provides direction, right? So all these responsibilities rests on somebody, right? But we must also remember that this person is human, right? And being human means that we must allow the workplace to be a place of comfort for him. For him to be vulnerable, he must see the place as comfortable to express himself. Now, let us not be carried away by thinking that, if we then make him comfortable, his productivity might be might be compromised. No, the more comfortable he is, the more productive he can be. So we must understand that if we create a comfortable, a conducive environment for him to be at home, to express himself, then we will also get the best from him in that environment. Respect is another thing that is very, very important for him to actually even become vulnerable. Respect. I mean, there was a national issue recently. Somebody was called a fool and all that, right? That was also in some kind of place of work, right? And easily, all of us can run away and say, that person did it. But if we check, we all do it one way or the other. Do we call our drivers fools? Do we say, oh yeah, I won't complete it? Do we have reserved abuses for men? Because, if it's a woman that does something, there's a way you don't want to, but we have a reserved language or a reserved behavior because it's a man. But that man is also human, right? So for the man to be inclined to be vulnerable at work, we must eliminate those toxins. We must eliminate the toxicity in that environment for him to actually feel that he can then be vulnerable at work.
Thank you very much, Ayodele. We must Ayodeji, sorry. Thank you very much, Ayodeji, for those insightful thoughts that we need to remove those the toxins. And of course, we need to make the man comfortable. The man needs to be respected. To the audience, please, if you do have questions, please direct your questions to the Q&A room, not the general chat room, please. Questions should be on the Q&A room so that we can come back to them later. Let me quickly move to the Dr. Amos. Dr. Amos, we have tried to lay the foundation of, the cultural norms around how men should communicate emotion. And then we have layered upon that the definition of how we want to reshape the narrative around masculinity and vulnerability. Now, on top of that, in our traditional society, there are some roles that we believe that, they are meant for certain genders to perform. Now, in what ways do these traditional gender roles place pressures on men, either at home or at work or in the society? These gender-based roles, are there ways in which they are placing any form of pressure on men, either in the office, at home, at work, or within the society? Dr. Amos.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Yes, when we look at our world today, there are traditional gender roles that are expected of men, whether at home or at work or in the society as a whole. Now, these roles have emerged traditionally from our culture, from the society, from historical context, and even spiritual context as obtained in our beliefs.
Dr. Amos, are you there?
This role for men are expected, for example, hello? I'm here.
Please go ahead, Dr. Amos. Go ahead, we can hear you.
Okay. Men are expected to be breadwinners and providers, financial providers at home. Men are expected to be strong, to be assertive, and to be unemotional. Men are expected to be leaders and decision makers traditionally, and then to labor and do heavy work that is required of them in the society. Now, so at home, the role of your primary breadwinner puts a lot of pressure on men. This pressure we see in so many men who struggle because of the situation of our economy that keeps getting challenging by the day, and the fact that men are not expected to complain or even to seek for help, because seeking for help shows that you are weak as a man. In the workplace, the focus on building a career. Men are expected to be career focused. Now, that leads to working long hours, the burnout that we are talking about. In the society, men are, so you are supposed to display masculinity at all times. There is no excuse for you to show vulnerability or to show any sign of weakness. So men take on jobs that are even risky to perform. Now, here is the challenge. When we look at our society, we have to advise men, was asked, how can we reshape it? There is individual responsibility. You have to look at your expectations and roles that the society, that culture, that religion has foisted on you, and look at your context and decide for yourself to liberate yourself to you. Last Sunday, we sat in church and the assistant pastor was preaching. Suddenly he collapsed on the altar and pastor had to rush and carry him out. And the senior pastor got up, carried the microphone and continued teaching, while other pastors were attending to the assistant pastor, a young man in his mid-30s. Long story short, it was discovered that he was overstressed. He worked throughout Saturday from morning till night because there was a program for the youth on Sunday evening. So he was handling virtually everything in that program, jumping up and down. And then in the night, this young man was also assigned a topic to prepare the message for Sunday. He collapsed on the altar.
Wow.
What am I saying? Men, take care of yourself. The roles are there. Traditionally, they have emerged, but we have to use wisdom. In this day and age, there is no Superman. If you allow yourself to be lured and you buy the idea that you're Superman, your body will tell you. If you look around, we have far more widows than we have widowers because our men have not been able to balance these roles that have been foisted on us. So, my take, each person, men that are here, please look after yourself. Take care of yourself and know how to balance this role so that you can enjoy longevity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amos. That was a fine place and a fine way to put it. Men, look after yourself. There is no foreman anywhere. You are not a Superman. So don't try to do the work of 4 people alone. Now, that takes me to the next part of our conversation around the health, mental health, emotional well-being, and access to support. Before I take on Ayodeji will take my next question. We have about 560 people on this call, all the way from across the globe. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us, wherever you are joining us with at this time. All right, so Ayodeji, now, how can organizations encourage men to prioritize their emotional well-being? Because Dr. Amos has talked about the mental health, the physical health, and the need to take care of ourselves. So how can organizations help men to consciously and be intentional about taking care of their emotional well-being? Over to you, Ayodeji.
Thank you, Adeyemi. Again, following from the fact that the workplace has become, not become, but it is a lifestyle point. And for an adult person, you spend about 40% of your life at work. 40%. So for the man, easily, and it may be more, minimum 40% of your life as an adult, and your productive years, you spend at the workplace. So the workplace then influences you whichever way. So it's important then that and I'm happy this is CIPM, because this, I mean, the chairman, the president said something very interesting, that the men are the HR managers of the world, you know. So the point is that the business or the workplace must also understand that it is then a place where you can model life for your people, right? It is then important that you first of all understand that responsibility as leaders of HR or as the people at work. Understand that we have a responsibility for the mental health, for the emotional health of our people. Understand that you have that responsibility, number one. Number two, demonstrate that in every way that you can. So for instance, what kind of employee assistant policies do you have? Right? Is it only towards productivity? And even if it is towards productivity, if people are not, if people, whether men or women, if their mental health is compromised, their productivity is also compromised. Right? So in the workplace environment, talk about mental health, talk about emotional well-being. We're doing that today. Set up opportunities. Thank God there is now an opportunity to have webinars and all that. It doesn't all have to be physical, but make it important at work by sponsoring talks, right? Sponsor more social events. Right now that people are working virtually and many times we're not even seeing ourselves physically, sponsor social events. Now you will talk about budget. Oh, well, because when you take it to the CEO will say, I can't afford this every time. But all social events don't have to be sponsored by the company. You can say, come together and everybody buy your own drink. But the fact that you are together and you're just talking and bantering is a social environment, and social meets help emotional state. So that's another way of showing people that they must prioritize their emotional state. Another thing is be conscious about the holistic well-being. Typically, we think about just aspects of well-being. Well-being has 8 domains. I don't want to bore you with what each of them is. Emotional well-being is one of them and is a strong point of it. There's physical well-being, there's financial well-being, there's intellectual well-being, there's occupational well-being, there's social well-being, right? So ensure that as somebody who is responsible for the workplace or that responsibility sits with you, ensure that you bring programs that address the holistic well-being of your people, and particularly of the men as well. That way, you're addressing not only emotional well-being, but all the aspects. But it is when you bring those aspects out to relevance that people can then start to think of how to prioritize them. So it is important that emotional well-being is demonstrated at work. It must be demonstrated for them to be able to understand that it's important to prioritize it.
Emotional well-being must be demonstrated at work, in the words of Ayodeji Bankole. And that, of course, our EAP programs, they should not just only focus on productivity, but we should be intentional, even giving room for people to have opportunity to even discuss. It's one way of encouraging this. Thank you very much, Ayodeji, for that wonderful presentation. Ebere Wabara says here that to a large extent, I think a lot of the Superman expectation is self-imposed, because there is a catchphrase: man, know thyself, and to thyself be true. This is the Sorosuke era. Speak up if you are choking. And I agree with that. Man, if you are choking, Sorosuke. Very, very important. Very, very, very important. Let me quickly go to Stanley. Stanley, now, there are some common mental health challenges that men face in today's world. And what are these challenges, and why is it that some of these challenges are often overlooked, right? Quite a number of common mental health challenges that are faced by men, but a lot of times they are often overlooked. What are some of these challenges, and why are they often overlooked? Stanley.
All right. Thank you. And thank you again. There are loads of mental health challenges, and some of them are rarely talked about. In fact, some of them are not even known, largely because one of the environment we find ourselves. Some people are not even open to having the conversation because there's the likelihood of stigma. So I'll just list a few of them and then see why they are possibly overlooked in the environment that we find ourselves. I think the first one I'll talk about is depression, and maybe some form of anxiety, because largely some of these symptoms are not physical, not things that you can really see. And with our kind of healthcare system here, where we do not really prioritize asking the right questions or probing sufficiently to find out what the real issues are. More so, we live in an environment where people would rather self-medicate, or would rather look for religious leaders to help when they have situations that have defied medical advice. They run to church, or they run to the mosque, or they run to the traditional options that are available. So depression is one of the big ones. And the question is, how do we begin to get closer to our men and we start asking the right questions? Men are really being consumed, but unfortunately, they do not speak out easily. The Sorosuke, like we said, does not happen. So there's a large even amongst men, we don't even talk to ourselves. When you see women, which is why the female folks, you see them really, maybe that's even why they live long. When it happens, I feel a certain way, and there's a problem that I am struggling with. It's easy to go to your circles, even on your WhatsApp group, you can drop it there, and somebody will call you, someone will talk to you, they'll rally around you, they'll go out for parties, they'll spend time with themselves and see how they help. But men, we hardly will speak, and that consumes us, and depression becomes a big challenge that men struggle with, and then find out later in life, and then maybe at that point it's too late to deal with it. The other element would be substance abuse or disorder, because typically when men begin to move into very difficult situations, it's very easy for you to either run to find something to help you, and in the process, those days when we thought stress management, we've said that there are different ways you manage stress. There are the healthy ways of managing stress. There are also the unhealthy ways of managing stress. Some of the unhealthy ways is when people try to go find they go find alcohol. They try to find something to smoke for those who don't naturally smoke. And we know these things may not be totally healthy for them, but they are looking for options and looking for solutions rather than crying out. And then some of them even move into very difficult substance abuse that begins to ruin them. And then for them, it just helps them forget that problem for that moment. They sleep it off and they face it again the next day. And then another challenge that men struggle with would be suicidal behaviors, because they bottle these things in and they don't speak about them. You then realize that they begin to think about, okay, if I leave this world, everything ends. I don't tell anybody, I go with it. I heard a story this week or late last week about a young man who went to an apartment and paid for an apartment only to take his life.
Wow.
And I can imagine that a lot of us would have heard about several. I'm not saying that suicidal thoughts are just with men alone, but if you check the statistics, you realize that a greater percentage of the people who fall into this are majorly men because they find it difficult to speak out and to talk about them and to share. And then finally, maybe stress-related issues, including burnout from all of the hustle and struggle and trying to find a way to make ends meet or to cover up the shame and stigma. And then it leads to hypertensive situations. You have sleep issues, people can sleep, and all the other challenges that come from financial from financial
Thank
pressures and the other
you
societal
very
pressures.
much,
But let me
Stanley.
just wrap up by saying that it's
Yes.
overlooked likely because of stigma. Yes, stigma is a big part of it because nobody wants to be seen as the man who cannot take care of his family. I mean, I've heard someone once said that the mother said to him that never marry someone who is even richer than you. So you want to ensure that you're always there. You're always the one who carries the burden. Then you have major issues around people with not having, service gaps around mental issues. I don't think that the element of therapy in this part of the world has really, really found its roots. I see a few people trying to start up certain small outfits to support people with mental health issues. But you and I will agree that these are just things that are nascent, just trying to find its roots in our society. So people don't know who to talk to, they don't know where to go to. So the data is not even available to say these are the kind of things that people are going through and where they can find easy solutions for their pain and for their need. And I think those are some of the reasons why these things are overlooked and they don't get the right attention as should be. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Stanley. Very, very succinct point there around the issue of stigma, the issue of not having enough therapy as solution, and things are being overlooked. Ladies and gentlemen, we have hit the 600 participant mark at this point in today's conversation. And in a couple of minutes, we'll be taking questions from the Q&A segment. Before I come to that, Dr. Amos, please help us. Practical daily strategies that men can adopt in order to manage stress and to manage burnout and this emotional fatigue that we're talking about. Very practical solutions that we can take away from this conversation. Dr. Amos.
Thank you. That men can include the following. 1, early in the morning, have a routine. It will be good to have a time for prayer and meditation. 30 minutes, 1 hour, or even less. But as you wake up in the morning, you have a time for prayer, for meditation, for reading something elevating, something illuminative. That helps. 2nd, exercise. Make out time to take care of your body. Do exercise. And that does not mean work out where you must go to a gym, get registered, pay heavy money, and then you're going to work out. You're not a bodybuilder. Except people who are in bodybuilding business, a 30 minutes walk around your vicinity, around your area would be fine if that is a good place. Or in the house, work out, but move that body. Take care of your body. 3, learn to say no. Learn to say no. What happened to that young man of 35, 36 was because he was overloaded. Earlier on, the advice came, men should learn to sorosoki. Please speak up. Don't be overloaded. One of the strategies you can adopt to help yourself as a man, learn to say no to every responsibility that is being loaded on you all the time. Remember, you are not a superhuman being. 4, practice mindfulness. It's part of meditation. Don't react, seek to respond. How do you do that? When there is a trigger and at the spur of the moment, hold back, reflect, take a deep breath before you respond to situations. It will definitely help. 4 now, seek support. Have good friends and family. Show me your friend, I'll show you who you are. Have supportive friends where you can go have good conversation, unwind. This is the end of the year. As we speak, between now and January, I have 4 different events where I will get together with classmates, secondary school classmates, university classmates to unwind and just relax the body and the mind. So you can do that. Again, take breaks. We are HR people. The annual leave is not for nothing. The vacation is there for a purpose. Take those leaves, take those vacations, and make sure you rest when you go on leave. Don't go on leave again and overdrive your body. And then, if need be, seek professional help from a counselor if you feel stressed and you cannot cope. But most importantly, learn to say no, learn to set boundaries, and don't overwork yourself and overdrive your body. If you want to, one day your body will shut down, and let's pray it's not a permanent collapse. It should be a temporary collapse that happened last Sunday. So these practical steps, I believe, can help men maintain balance and to live long. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abila A. Moores. Seek support. Have close friends and family members. Be very social. Engage with friends. It's festivity period. Don't just sit back and think. Go out there, have fun. Life is to be enjoyed, it's to be lived and not to be endured. It says take breaks. All right, go on vacation and then don't leave just to go and work, but take leave and go on vacation and have fun. Thank you very much, Dr. Abila Amos. I will still stay with you on the issue of fatherhood, mentorship, and elder relationship. Stay with Dr. Abila. What roles do you think that mentorship play for men to be able to navigate their career transition and their mental well-being? Dr. Abila, mentorship, what role does it play for men to be able to navigate career and for them to be able to, stay mentally, well?
Mentorship is very important and very helpful. I have seen the benefits in my own little career. Mentors provide guidance. When you stand on the shoulder of somebody, you see further than what your height could have afforded you. All right? So mentors provide that kind of shoulder on which men can stand on so they can see further in their career. So mentors provide support and provide guidance to navigate the challenges in the career that we are all pursuing. Secondly, mentors serve as role models. If I look at my example, I've had mentors, even from a distance, people I look up to as role models, and I try to model my career and my life around what I see them do. And today, one of my mentors is here. Probably you'll be hearing about this for the first time here. Dr. Oladimeji Alo is here. He's my mentor from a distance. I have looked at him, I've studied him since his days in Papa of FITC till today. So from a distance, I watch him. I have watched Dr. Christopher Kolade, who just passed. I've watched Dr. Gamaliel Onosode, who left some years back. These have been my mentors. So mentorship provides that role model, effect that one can study and try to copy and then be like them by doing what they do. Mentors provide opportunity for skill development when they share their experience, either through books or interviews, or they write articles. When we read such articles, we learn from their wisdom. And so we gain knowledge to also build our own career. So men learn to have mentors. I have a number of mentees. There's a particular mentee of mine today that insists he will take a day off work and come and join my interview panels to watch how we interview candidates. He will take a day off work officially and come and sit in class while I am training to keep watching what I do. And after class, he will ask me, why did you share that statistic? Why did you tell that story? Why did you show that infographic? And I explain to him. He does that every time. That is mentorship. So, men, it is advised, let's have mentors, people that we can learn from, help our career. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abila Amos. I'll quickly jump to Stanley as I begin to look at the Q&A room. So, Stanley, what can men do for them to become better role models for younger boys in this world that is rapidly changing? What are the quick, very succinct things that we can do to become better role models for the younger ones?
Okay, so I'll make this very brief. For us to become better role models, I think we will need to think first about men. We must learn to show vulnerability as much as possible. We must be open. As men, we should learn to speak up. We should learn to speak out. When things happen, it shouldn't be difficult for us as men to be able to tell our stories, come before people and say, this is my situation. I mean, I once had a situation where, I was struggling with something, but because I was a leader here, I was a leader in church, I was a leader everywhere, it was very difficult, But at the point, I had to tell myself, Stanley, you must learn to share your story and people would learn. And that way, younger people know how authentic you really are, because it helps us show our authentic self. And if we're going to be great leaders in life, it's about how authentic we're able to present ourselves. And then secondly, we must be able to tell the story about recovery. If you have gone through something and you have become better, or you've recovered from something, whether it was substance abuse, or it's somebody who has struggled with marriage, or it's somebody who has struggled with something in life, be willing and open to sharing. There's nothing that will belittle you or change your status when you share. So we must be willing to tell our stories, just like as the female folks would do. And as much as possible, we should be open to seeking help as much as possible. When people know that we're vulnerable enough and we're open to seeking help, and we can show people that this is what I have done to get better, younger ones would learn from us and they would definitely grow from there. And as individuals, for those of us who've gone through it, how do we begin to help others who need therapy or who need advice on how best to deal with this and help them come out of the things that they are struggling as individuals in their lives? I think those are some of the things that I think we can do as we role model, because there are a lot of young people in this part of the world, and for our children who are also living this country, if you see most of them, they are struggling with a lot of things. How do we as fathers, how do we as leaders, and how do we as men begin to show them that, see, there's a route to recovery? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stanley. I love the point on vulnerability, that it's okay to be vulnerable. And that's one thing that the younger ones need to understand, and not think that to be a man simply means that you just have to be stiff, firm, and straight looking, and that you must bottle up emotions, and the need for us to sorosuke. That is very, very, very important. And let me take this question from the chat room, from the Q&A, and this is for Ayodeji. Now, Ayodeji, the theme of this event, it's men, mind, and meaning. Somebody is asking, that's Dr. Solomon is asking, how does this framework accommodate diverse workplace identities? How does this framework accommodate diverse workplace identities? So we don't reinforce traditional gender norms about strength, conflict, or emotional expression. I hope that question is clear, Ayodeji. Ayodeji, are you there?
Yes, I am here. So we
All
don't
right.
what? I didn't hear the other part.
Okay, how does this framework accommodate diverse workplace identities? so we don't reinforce traditional gender norms about strength, conflict, or emotional expressions.
Okay. Well, it's for me, the way I look at it, and I'll look at it from the fact that at work, we tend to think, the truth is we bring our cultural norms and our cultural mindset, right? Our societal, I won't call it cultural, I'll call it societal, right? We bring it to work as well, right? It's important that at work, when we're formulating policies of a certain direction, we should understand that there needs to be a balance. For a long time, we have I was still at an event recently and they were saying it's still a man's world. We're being skewed more to some side of gender, right? Because we want to catch up, as you know, as they say. But it's important that even in the workplace, to achieve balance, we think about those that we are doing or make, whether formulating policy or we're taking decisions for, we think about them. It's important that we listen to their needs and bring balance into our decision making, whether into our policy making or whatever it is we're doing. It's important that we bring balance. We listen for every side, right? And that informs how we take our decisions. I hope this has addressed, the issue. Maintaining balance means that we must emphasize balance too in taking those decisions.
Yeah.
Bringing into the room the other sides and taking holistic decisions. I hope I have responded to that effectively.
Thank you very much, Ayodeji. Yes, talking about the balance, that of course we need to bring that up really. For a lot of organizations recently, found out that the whole emphasis on DEI and D is providing a lot of focus around female in leadership and all of that. Even for some people, they get so disadvantaged that even when they are qualified for certain position, but for the purpose of balancing and having, a female on the board and things like that, some men get disenfranchised in such situation at times. And that takes me to the next question in the Q&A segment here. And I would like Stanley to attend to this question. Somebody says that this Regina Alaide says that feminism is a big topic in most organizations, and it seems more opportunities are offered to women to take up leadership positions. Sometimes, even when some might not have the required attributes, but just to balance, the gender ratio. How can organizations keep a balance so that they can ensure that both men and women, they are given equal opportunities without any form of favoritism, even while they are trying to achieve belonging, equity, and all of that? Stanley.
All right, thank you. So we know that there are several things that would typically affect the female gender when it comes to rising to leadership roles. And I'm so excited today to see a lot happening in that space. I see a lot of women breaking the ceiling, and they are really they come into the boardroom and creating exceptional value. But that doesn't stop the fact that there are certain things that typically will slow women down, and that seems to be an advantage for the male folks. I think that as an organization, or as organizations rather, we need to start asking ourselves, how do we begin to develop policies that are not biased, but really friendly to ladies and to female of the female gender who have to go through certain things in life. Take, for instance, I know of a lady who had to take a bit of career break just to be able to deal with pregnancy and family issues, who at the point had struggled so much. And that was a huge setback. And coming back to work, everybody would ask you, why did you have this break? And you have to explain, and it becomes a challenge sometimes for them. How do we become really, really friendly such that there are no biases in the way we receive the female folks. I doubt it that there's anything in our generation today that the male folks will do that the women are not able to do. I'm seeing women today leading organizations as CEOs. I'm seeing females today leading organizations at general management level, and they are doing exceptionally well. So our policies, our talent management practices must be very clear that it accommodates people from both genders. And as we drive our D&I initiatives, we ensure that the balances are right from a point of view of competence. And as we make investments in the male gender, we are making the same investments in the female gender. We must be careful that even though our labor laws are careful about certain kind of roles that the female gender cannot perform, I mean, maybe working at night in certain environments, we must understand that there are lots of opportunities that we can also use to stretch the potentials of the female gender and ensure that we have the right balance and we grow an organization where there's fairness, there's equity, and there's clear diversity and inclusivity in the way we run our agenda. That's the much I would say about this.
Thank you very much, Stanley, for that insight. Dr. Amos Abila, this next question from the Q&A room, I would like you to address it. Jones is asking, how do you manage a situation where the boss is female and she feels as a man you should have sufficient time to deliver and you should not be emotional? That is, a female boss believes that as a man, you have enough time to always deliver on your deliverables without feeling any emotion. How do you address such situation? Dr. Abdullah.
Okay. All right. So this female boss clearly wants you to be a super employee, a superman at work, right? When she says you have enough time, is that true? Is that correct? Now, who fixed that? Who fixed that time? We know about deadlines at work. Yes, timelines and deadlines. And yes, every good manager should not just give assignments and leave it open-ended. No. All right? Now, but when she says you have enough time, is that true? Is that correct? When was that time fixed? Was that time agreed? Is it about your KPIs that have those deadlines? Were they discussed? Did you agree to those timelines at the beginning of the performance period? If yes, are you just now complaining? Now, if it is an assignment that was given to you and there is a time for it, now there's a way to manage that. If you think you are running out of time, you have to speak up. You do not keep quiet and then only at the last minute or when the deadline or timeline is passed, then you now go and say you can't deliver. You need more time. That's not the way to do it. So the way to do it is, if it is about your KPIs, those deadlines should have been agreed, discussed upfront, and you have signed on that. Now, when it comes to actual delivery day to day, okay, and you discover that you are unable to meet a particular deadline, then you speak up ahead of time. Work that you're supposed to deliver tomorrow, and it is clear to you that this assignment cannot be finished by tomorrow. Today, at the close of work today, you go to that your female boss and speak up and show reason and show evidence why you will not be able to meet up with the deadline of 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. And your evidence had better be good, because this is not about indulging you. No. But again, this is not about making you to look like you're a superman and then you overwork yourself. Remember the long hours that result in the burnout that we talked about earlier, that makes men to crash and to collapse. We have to avoid that. But in doing that, you manage your boss, whether it's a female or a man, it doesn't matter. There are professional ways of managing assignment and deadlines, and one of which is what I have said. You have to report before the deadline is due, and then seek for more time. And if that is not given to you, then that's another issue altogether. But every reasonable manager who sees evidence that truly the assignment at hand requires more time will be willing to grant you additional time. I think that's the way you can manage that particular situation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abila Amos. I will be taking 2 questions from the live audience, so that if you do have a question, you can raise your hand, use the icon to raise your hand, and I will identify you. I'll just take 2 questions. Before then, quickly, how can men protect that seemingly inevitable loneliness at old age? When mama has gone to do omugo, when mama has gone to do omugo, men prepare for that period.
Okay. So, can you repeat the question? I lost you briefly.
It said that a time will come when mommy will go and do ugo and take care of the grandchildren. Okay. At that point, the man is already old. How can we prepare for that business?
Okay.
That will likely happen at this period when mama is busy traveling across the world.
Okay, thank you. Now, the question I would ask, first of all, and I think that our environment or society also doesn't do justice to us. The question I would ask is, what is old age? And I want that to sink in. What is old age? Now, we are the HR leaders, right? So we're the ones that set retirement age. What is retirement age in your organization? And I know that in most places, it's 60, 65. I am 55, but my desire is to work for minimum till about I'm 80 years old. And I believe I can deliver that. I believe that we resign or retire to old age too early. So the point I am making is that, yes, a time will come when, and it's getting popular, that our mothers or our wives, have to help our children with, the grandchildren. But the point is, have you resigned yourself so much that you are then completely, you're just waiting to die? And the earlier you have that mindset, the truth, the earlier you die. People are living now. I mean, now it is becoming almost commonplace for people to celebrate 90 years old. I know of a gentleman who is still running his business well into his 80s. So there are many things that as Nigerians, as human beings, now, a lot of us are exposed, we travel, we find that people in their 70s are still working. They still have a lot to offer. But it is how we address that time, how we embrace that time. What are we busy doing? What kind of skill? Now, intellectual well-being means that you are learning. There's nothing wrong with learning something new at a certain age. I am 55. I only just enrolled for an MPhil. It is challenging, but I'm going on. You can learn new skills. You can engage in new things. And that helps you to keep you busy. So my point is, we can engage ourselves in all aspects of our lives till well into our 70, 75, 80. So we shouldn't just sit down and say, oh, okay, they have retired me from work, so there's nothing to do. And we're sitting down and we're dying. We can actually start to teach. We can start to mentor. We can start to do a lot of things. Our experience that we have gotten over 30 years, 35, 40 years of work, our network means something. And we must deploy it to productivity. So my point is, what is old age to you? It is a question that you must answer.
Thank you very, very much, Ayodeji. Somebody says here, we refire and not retire. You can multitask. On that note, I would also like to know the perspective of Dr. Abdullah Amos on this issue of loneliness when Madam is going to do Omugo. Dr. Amos. And I'll be calling on Dr. Oladimeji Alo, our past president, shortly to also, give us some insights into our conversation. Yes, Dr. Amos.
I think it is important for every man to create situations around their life that will keep them active well into their senior years beginning from 60 and above. I read one study, I can't remember who did that study recently, and it said that it's been established that the most productive years of our lives are the 10 years between 70 and 80 years. And the second most productive of our years are the 10 years between 60 and 70. Now, if that study is true, and it may be, then here we are. They say retirement age is 60 years. And then you retire, you go home and you sit down, you tie a towel around your waist and you sit down, you call yourself retired? No, you are inviting death by installment. And that is what will happen. Okay, so each one must get active in doing work. They say you can retire from a job, but don't ever allow yourself to retire from work. Let your retirement be from a job, not from work. Work is what you are meant to do, what you are created to do. Your job is a means of earning to take care of your bills. That can go. Somebody can take that from you. But your work, you never retire from that. Okay? So retirement is putting on your new tires, somebody says jokingly, and firing on. So we have to create those engagements, whether in new studies, in learning new skills, learning a new language, getting involved in work that you are interested in. I was on a job, my personal story, and then suddenly the government said, your job is gone. And suddenly, I was counting 3 years to the 60-year mark. I wasn't allowed to do that. But then, you know what? I was ready. So I just shifted from the government office to my own private office in the center of town and continued my work, not the job that they gave me. So they can take your job, don't allow them to take your work. That work, you can do it till you're 90 and 100. By the way, some of us plan to live up to 100, right? Great. That's a good mark. I plan to do that, to live that long, if God permits. Okay, so that is it. That's my view about that.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abdullah Amos. After all, some people can still become fathers even at the age of 80, 90, and 100. So who says that mommy must go on Umugo? Why can't even the children come and even do Umugo for mama? All right, that was on the lighter note. So let me use the floor at this point. Let me invite our past president, Dr. Oladimeji Alo, CIPM, to share some elderly thoughts with us on this topic. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, the moderator, Mr. Deyemi. You've done a wonderful job. Let me also thank all the panelists. You've done so well. You handled your contributions in the most brilliant way. I thank Dr. Amos for remembering that we are here. I just want to make a few comments, which, listening to all of the discussion, I noticed that we've not put enough emphasis on the meaning part of our topic, men, mind, and meaning. And I thought we should look at that from two perspectives. All of us, whether we are man or woman, men or women or ladies, we need to create meaning in our life. Because human beings, we have this desire to find out about life, world. And religion enables us to do that. It doesn't matter which religion you subscribe to. you need to ask yourself, what is my purpose on earth? Why was I created? So every man should have an anchor that caters for his own spirituality. If you find that you don't even know why you are here, you don't even know what your purpose is on earth, you have a challenge. That's the first roadmap to mental problem. The second point is about meaning at work. Whatever work we do, whether we are a driver, carpenter, mechanic, we should seek to find meaning in that work. How does what we do contribute to the larger purpose of the organization? For those of us who are in HR, we have plenty of opportunity to create meaning in our work. How do we help people better, to become better? How do we find people to see that the work they do contributes to humanity? So HR, in my view, has a role in assisting people to connect with the central purpose of the organization and to find their work meaningful. Many men that run into trouble are men who cannot find meaning in what they are doing. And so it's important that our employer, particularly HR, assist people to find purpose in what they are doing. The last comment I want to make, it's around men in old age. Quite a number of you would know that I voluntarily retired at the age of 54. Today I'm 70. And I have been active every day of my life from that point till now. And I take the point that Dr. Amos made very brilliantly, and Mr. Odeji made that point very brilliantly too. One is that you should make yourself relevant and active, acquire new skills, I do so many things today at age 70 that I'm as busy as I was when I was age 50. And I'm not working for anybody, but I'm working for many people. So the essence is that as a man, you should plan for your life after official retirement and ensure that what you do gives you joy. God has given us talent, He's given us competencies, He's given us relationships that will keep us active to our 80 if we are not lazy as individuals. Let me end at that point just to thank you for this wonderful job you've done and to thank the moderator for doing a perfect job. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, our past president. Always brilliant contribution from you as usual. We cannot say that we lack guidance and mentorship even in this generation with men like you still available to provide direction. Thank you very, very, very much, sir. We really appreciate those contributions. As we begin to, fire down home stretch, let me give 30 seconds to each of my panel members to give their closing thoughts on our topics today. Let me start with Dr. Amos. Closing thoughts, 30 seconds, please.
Men, and to all our audience, yes, you go to work. Yes, you will provide. Yes, you will focus on performance, on productivity, on career success. Yes, you are carrying the burden of the family, but remember, you're only human. You are not superhuman. So find a way, your own creative way to balance the responsibilities and the roles that society and culture and religion have foisted on you so that you can live as long as God will permit you to live. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amos. Brilliant landing point there. Let me take Odeji over to you. You closing thought.
Okay, thank you. I would make two statements, one to men and then one to those that manage men or are in a position to, make policies that guide men. One, to men, the role of a man in life is to be available, to be accessible. That is a 24-hour role. But carry out your role with wisdom. In that 24-hour availability, find the time to live a balanced life. All aspects of your well-being are important. Number two, to those who are in position to take decisions concerning policy and all that, I would say, I would borrow from one of our habits, one of our better life habits. Act with empathy, with compassion, and with kindness. Make sure that as you propose policies and all that, that everything that you do, decisions that you take, you're acting with empathy, with compassion, and with kindness. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elodeji. Act with empathy, compassion, and with kindness. Stanley, over to you. Your final thoughts, Stanley.
All right, thank you. So my final thoughts are just three key comments. One is I'll advise men to say as much as possible that the society demands strength from us, which is important, but I think we should build the courage to be our authentic self, okay? And we spoke about vulnerability, we spoke about speak up. So all of those are things that will come up in all of this conversation. And as much as possible, and if you see yourself as a father or you are a father today, I think what is important is that we also show our children that love and discipline can coexist. So this means shifting strongly from being just a provider to become an active participant in the life of the children and the younger ones around you. That way you also role model. And if we are leaders, leaders in organizations, then it becomes important that we understand that leadership is not about domination. That's what men are defined as in certain climes. It's not about domination. It's about how we collaborate at the place of work, creating an environment that trust, empathy, safety, a place that people really want to come and really work. And then for the younger ones we have around our environment, in terms of how we model and role model them, how do we begin to mentor the younger ones? It doesn't have to be too structured. It doesn't have to be something out of the ordinary. We need to learn to build the generation after us, leave legacies after us, whether at the place of work, in our families, in our communities. Let's give back. If we have gone through stuff and we have overcome them, let's give back and then build a society that is great. And the three things we've said in our theme today: men, mind, and meaning. Meaning for me is about impact. Men make the impact as much as possible, but not against not by putting unnecessary pressure and demand from the society on you. The mind, have a healthy mind. As much as possible, check from time to time that you're healthy. And to the employers, HR leaders, and to the society, please look out for the man. Don't expect too much and expect that the man is, yes, he's wired in certain, like there's something that runs in the blood. Look out for the man. The mind is very critical. And then being men, let's get involved in the younger ones and in the families that we are grooming. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, my brilliant panelists, this wonderful afternoon. It's been an hour, 15 minutes of very, very engaging and interesting conversation in the room. At the peak of today's conversation, we had 600 participants on the call, and up until right now, we have about 572 people still on this call. And I can see all our leaders from across the group joining us from Canada. The chairman, CIPM Canada branch, Mr. Ogubui, was on this call at some point, and I can see some of our colleagues from the US and from the UK on this call. In fact, I have a chat in the chat room, which I will read even as I round up. Somebody says here, and I'll mention the name after I've read this. Think the word Mugo should be included in the dictionary now. I am joining this call from Toronto for the single reason of Mugo. The important thing is that the way you find by the kind of life that you have with the man that you call your husband. It is important that you take your life harmony very seriously. From now on to your old age, make meaning life. It's important that you take life harmony very seriously from now on to your old age. Age is just a number. From education, my work, other non-governmental rules are ongoing. It is what it is. Wise men keep their family together. Okay, that is from Mrs. Molara Majid, the wife of our IPP. And that is very, very instructive. And I'll be rounding up on that note to say to the chairman and president of our institute, and to all our panelists and everybody that's been on this call, and to the great men out there, it is important that we understand that vulnerability does not mean weakness. To be a man does not mean that you are without emotion. First, you are a human being. First, you are a human being before you become a man, a boy, before you then become an uncle, before you then become a man, then before you become a father, before you then become, of course, you become a husband, then become a father, before you then move on and graduate to other things in life. Therefore, as fixers, as warriors, as providers, as protectors, as defenders, and as solution providers, even as ATMs, as mentors and as coaches and as heroes and as the rock of our homes, let us ensure that we take care of our health and our well-being as we continue to play our God-given role as men of the house and the bosses in the office, and of course, the great leaders to our world. Thank you very much for having me this afternoon. I'm Adeyemi Ajayi, FCIPM, and it has been my pleasure moderating the session this afternoon. As I hand over to the Deputy Registrar, Benga Odetunde, thank you very much for having us this wonderful afternoon. See you some other time.
Thank you very much, our moderator, Adeyemi Ajayi, FCIPM. Thank you, thank you, thank you. A round of applause for our moderator and the panelists. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As a man, I feel fulfilled, I feel engaged, I feel valued, and I feel refreshed. Courtesy, the moderator and the panelists. At this point, I want to call on our immediate past president, Mr. Olusegun Majid, FCIPM, FNLI, to give us a vote of thanks. Immediate past president, over to you.
Good afternoon. You can hear me loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President, esteemed members of the Governing Council connected here, our past presidents, at least I could see Dr. Oladime Diallo, FCIPM, connecting all through, and I had his contribution, very worthy contribution. Our esteemed panelists, esteemed colleagues, Mr. Moderator, and of course, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start by saying thank you to CIPM for providing this platform. We need to find a way of doing this more, because men, like the president rightly said, we are all like limited edition. Our celebrations come once in a blue moon. So we need to find a way to talk to ourselves more. There is no doubt about that, because even from birth, right from birth, we are disadvantaged. Therefore, we need to do something. We need to work on it. There's a way my wife puts it. Whenever I try to do James Bond, she will caution me that you are not the general manager of the globe. So that helps me to really plant my feet and simmer down. Thank you, our esteemed panelist, Stanley. Thank you very much. Nice seeing you again. Ayodeji, the better man. Well done. Yeah. Especially thank you for the issue on old age. You know, old age is in every individual's mind. And like my wife rightly said, it is just a number. And and of course, My brother, Dr. Amos Abila, nice seeing you. It's like, this is part of the sacrifice. You've been in your car throughout
Yes.
this session. It's part of the sacrifice. That is what we do in CIPM, and that is what we do for CIPM. And of course, last but not the least, the man I want to call ECM Emeritus, Adeyemi Ajayi, FCIPM. Thank you very much. You have all discharged your mandates creditably well. You know, when Dr. Allah was, let me use the word praising you, his praises does not come cheap. You better know that. So when, when he told you earlier that you have done a good job, you take it, you can take that to the bank. Distinguished participants, we want to say thank you also. Men and women, yes, men and women. We have a lot of women on the call too. By the way, my wife even joined before me, like she said, connecting from Toronto. So we want to say thank you. I also saw Pastor Luke Kitibi and a lot of other people from the US, from Canada, and so on. I just want to chip in here that wise men in the Adeyemi Ajayi, when it comes to Mugo, wise men join their wives for joint Owolumi. That's what we call it in Yoruba land, no matter how brief. And of course, you had my wife also responding earlier. She's far away. It's not even yet 7 a.m. in Toronto, but she woke up to join, or she probably didn't sleep. That is what you do when you do Omugo. Uh-huh. Yeah. If we, if we have provided this platform and the distinguished participants, you didn't come, it will have been a failure. So we want to say thank you for all of us that have joined. Like Yemi said, we were at a point, we were 700 on this call. Thank you for coming. Please, the most important thing is that we apply our learning. No matter how little we have gained from this session this morning, I want to appeal to us. You know, I'm a trainer. I want to beg you that if we live here and we do not apply our learning, we have become most wretched of all men. Please apply your learning. It is not selfish to put you first. To do lots of self-love. I plead with you, embrace yourself. Go on to succeed. Do lots of walking. You heard Dr. Amos. That most especially to my contemporaries. Yeah, Ayodeji, I heard you, you're 55. Well, I am 66, my last birthday. And of course, we have 70-year-old on this call. Let's do lots of work. Like Dr. Amos said, you are not being asked to come and, you are not going to show 6 packs again. 6 packs don't go, tete. But please do your work around as much as possible. I call it walkabout. Thank you, leadership. Thank you, HQ. Until we come your way again, do not forget TGF. Yes, the God factor in all that we do. I plead with you. God bless you all, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, my IPP. Thank you very much, my IPP. Before I call Mr. President to give his closing remarks, just to remind all attendees on this call that tonight, around this evening, around 3 p.m., we are going to have our CIPM and U November edition. Then tomorrow, the annual public lecture is going to hold 12 noon. Please, let's join. At this point, I call on Mr. President and Chairman of the Governing Council, Malan Ahmed Ladan Gubru, FCIPM, FNLI, to give his closing remark. Over to you, sir, Mr. President. Okay, Mr. IPP, please give the closing remark on behalf of Mr. President.
Wow. Okay, thank you very much, Deputy Registrar. It's very straightforward. Sincerely, we need to. My notepad is full. We need to go back to our notes, and I want to appeal to HQ to also circulate the recording of this program. A lot of things have been said, and I want to, on behalf of the President, my dear brother and friend, Ahmed Ladan Gobri, we want to say thank you once again to all for all that you have done. And of course, you had in his opening remarks some things that he has said. Again, let me say this. I don't know. It's not even easy to say gentlemen without the ladies. So I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, the ladies should take this back to their men, and men listen to me. And I will say this again. We are not the general manager of the globe. It is good when we know our limits, our ability to say no without abdicating. Let us apply wisdom in all that we do. Even as we celebrate at any level and wherever we celebrate responsibly. Having said that, on behalf of Mr. President, thank you again, everyone on this call, everyone, the panelists, the moderator, HQ, everybody, we want to say thank you. We appreciate you so much. This is our CIPM. Thank you for coming. And our past presidents on this call, especially Dr. Oladimeji Alo. I love when people attend the program and they put on their video. You know that this guy has not gone to the other room. He's been here fully with us. That is the discipline we inherited from people like him. And that is the foundation of our institute. God bless you all. Please enjoy the rest of your day. Let's come back by 3 p.m. And that one I'm going to join on my way to Abeokuta. Yes, but let us all come back to, by 3 p.m. for CIPM and you. God bless you. Thank you, HQ. And we'll see you
Thank
soon.
you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. IPP, for that closing remark. Ladies and gentlemen, can we stand as we take the third stanza of our national anthem for a closing? Thank you. ICT, please.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Nigeria shall be blessed.
Amen.
Amen. Delta State, we see you.
Yes, so
good morning, afternoon.
Madam Tega, Delta State, we see you.
My brother, Adeyemi, well done. Great coordination. Alhamdulillah.
We see
Thank
you.
you, everyone.
We see you all at 3 p.m.
It was a great time.
We look forward to see all of you at 3 p.m.
I enjoyed it.